Today is the dawn of a brand new series and it's all about wedge play. The magical area of the golf game that allows you to lower scores. Make use of those booming drives, those short par fours, par fives that allow you to lower your handicap. Wedge play is crucial to giving you control around the greens to hit it closer to the flag. Now, for those regular good golf coaches, the 4 boxes, the angle of attack, the club path, the face to path and the face angle are my 4 pillars of golf coaching. Today I've got a couple of different boxes up: dynamic loft and spin loft. Angle of attack, face to path is still the same. Now when we play with the wedge, understanding what's going to create flight and what's going to create spin are the 2 ingredients that everybody wants to have mastery over. Of course, good ball striking is crucial. Well, if you've got good control over your angle of attack, your low point, you're never going to worry about striking a wedge poorly. Now, the dynamic loft is all about the loft that your golf swing produces down at strike. Now, for many golfers, when they get a lofted golf club in their hand, they look down at the loft, and of course the first thing they do is they try to help it up in the air. It's an easy thing to get into, and as soon as you do that, when you start trying to help the golf ball up in the air, that's when you start to get all sorts of iffy strikes. Now, depending on what you're working on in your long game, those issues can then start to roll into your wedge play, and before you know it, you're in all sorts of bother. But today what I want to give you a really clear detail on is how you control the loft of the golf club down through a wedge and the spin that's going to give you the control when the ball hits the floor. So what determines dynamic loft? Dynamic loft is the difference between static and what occurs at strike. Now statically, I've got a 50-degree wedge here. So a 50-degree wedge, when I'm swinging through the golf shot here and I'm making a good move, the dynamic loft of the golf club at strike is at 37.5 degrees. That's quite a difference to the loft that it has statically. Let's not get too caught up in that at the moment. But your golf swing is all about producing a dynamic loft that is consistent. If you can produce a dynamic loft at strike that's consistent, you will then start to feel like you can have the same amount of ball speed at strike that you produce for the speed of swing. It's the equivalent to making your arm move at the same pace. You unload the ball out of your arm at the same time, the ball will then go the same distance. That dynamic loft figure is the equivalent to the ball suddenly having more speed and less speed for the same club head speed. So if I had club head speed of 70 miles an hour and then I had 3 different dynamic loft figures, the ball would go different, go a different distance. And so for that reason, our main agenda is always controlling the dynamic loft. The spin loft is quite simply the angle of attack on top of the dynamic loft. So you can see the difference between the 35.5 and the 41.8 is roughly, give or take, 6 degrees, which is my angle of attack. So once you know that dynamic loft is king for you being able to make a swing, and no matter how fast or slow you're swinging the golf club, the dynamic loft that you're producing is the same, all of a sudden you become quite a good wedge player. Now, for a limited time only, on Skillist, I'm offering you a 2-minute swing analysis for only $9.99, $15, that will give you the top 3 ingredients to work on in your game this 2026, to give you a fast track to lowering your scores and getting the most out of your game. hit the link in the description below, download the Skiddist app, upload your swings on your mobile device, and I will do the rest. And you will sail off into the sunset knowing exactly what to work on. You can see that the roaming loft figures will make the ball go at different distances. Now, I'm not particularly getting involved with the same speed of swing. I haven't got a distance in mind, so I wouldn't expect my dynamic loft to be the same. But what is going to control that dynamic loft more than anything else are two figures: the angle of attack and the face to path value. The face to path value, if the face to path value is open, it means that it will increase the dynamic loft. So I now come back with a face to path value that's more open, face to path value at 6 degrees open. You can see the dynamic loft increases. I come back to impact with the angle of attack, with the face to path negative. All of a sudden, I have a dynamic loft that's way less. So you can see by changing the angle of the face to path value, positive or negative, it will make the dynamic loft either increase or decrease. The other ingredient that causes the dynamic loft to change is, of course, my angle of attack. My angle of attack, the more I hit down on the golf ball, the more the dynamic loft will come down. I hit down at 6.6. I had a neutral face to path value at 33 degrees. I now get rid of my angle of attack, and all of a sudden that dynamic loft will go up, angle of attack comes down. So just like your full swing, the exquisite control over the angle of attack and your face to path value bears a commonality throughout the golf game. But what we don't recognize when we get into a wedge play is the fact that path has more of an impact on direction. Because we've got more spin, we have, with more loft, we have much less deviation in the golf ball through flight. So golfers pay less attention to their face to path value when they get to their wedge game. And so they completely negate the ability to control distance. It's just what they end up with. So if your face to path value was 6 degrees open with a 7-iron, where you're seeing this big banana to the right, and then you create the same 6 degrees face to path value that's open with your 50-degree wedge, you don't see any bend in the sky. TrackMan didn't get that data point. So with this wedge play, it's really important that you recognize the same ingredients are just as important. Look, barely any bend in the sky at all. I've got a 5.6 degree open face to path. That with a 7-iron would have been wanging itself way off to the right. So this starter for 10 on this wedge series is that recognizing angle of attack and your face to path value is crucial. It is no different for wedges, it's no different for iron play, it's no different for your woods. It's all the same, folks. It's just that the loft of the golf club is giving you less visuals in the sky of bend, and path has more of an impact. So if you're a slicer out there, the chances are you will pull your wedges and you will pull your short irons. If you're a hooker out there, the chances are you will push your wedges. Because when face to paths are open, paths go left. When face to paths are closed, ball paths go right. And your wedge play will be affected by the path more than the face to path. So if you want to now go over and watch these two videos that will determine the control of your angle of attack. And then if you then go and watch these two videos that will help you determine your face to path, this wedge series will now start you on a track that gives you a better understanding of how to become a good wedge player. The spin loft is easy. The spin loft is easy. How you create spin is how pure you can hit down with a neutral face to path and still create flight. Anyone can hit down on the golf ball in a belief that they're going to create more spin because they believe that hitting more down, taking a bigger divot, creates more spin loft. Well, sure, it will create more spin, but it will make the ball come out lower because the ball will be flighted lower because you're hitting down more. But the reality is what we're looking for are nice angles of attack, good amounts of dynamic loft that will produce a good amount of spin loft. So that ball, because the dynamic loft was low, the ball will be flighted low. Have more spin, but the reaction that ball has on the green will be less because the land angle that the golf ball's coming in at is lower. Might have more spin, but the ball's not going to have the same reaction as when the ball lands more vertically and has less spin. Lots to learn on this wedge game. But today is all about recognizing the importance of controlling attack angle and face to path. It's the commonality with all of the areas in our golf swing. Hopefully, this has started the learning of wedge play. Lots to come on this. Are you tired of paying too much for your premium leather golf gloves? Head over to gxgolfgloves.com. These are gloves tried and trusted by elite amateurs and tour players alike. Enter my code GOODCOACHING to receive 10% off your next order. Go try them out, you won't be disappointed. And I'm really excited to share. If you've got any comments or any thoughts on anything that I've talked about today, do drop them in the box below. I always get back to you. And that, my friends, is good coaching.